time high abhi.
Yeah, it's not very close, man. All time high is 1719.
नहीं, their all time high that screener showed is 1300.
नहीं नहीं यार, क्या बात
अच्छा.
कर रहे हो? ग्लोबस ग्लोबस स्पिरिट्स ही है ना स्टॉक?
हाँ,
हाँ, ग्लोबस स्पिरिट 1719 है यार ऑल टाइम।
Am I looking at the wrong number? एक second. Then.
मतलब मैं तो
Is this
स्क्रीनर
a
खोल के ही देख रहा हूँ, पता
is
नहीं
this number wrong or like outdated or something?
प्रेजेंट कर रहे हो क्या तुम?
हाँ,
Yes.
हाँ हाँ, ये एक साल का हाई लो होता है बॉस।
अच्छा.
नीचे आओ एक बार, 5 साल पे जाओ। हाँ वो
Oh,
देखो, वो हाई है 17।
last high December 22.
Jan 22।
yeah, Jan
I sorry,
22.
Jan 22. Yeah, yeah. It's like forming a cup sort of a thing, no?
Yeah, it's a very nice structure,
Hmm.
this kind of a structure is very nice। तो अच्छा है, मतलब ये आई थिंक इसका 1300 पे रेजिस्टेंस होगा। 1299, हाँ 1300 पे रेजिस्टेंस होगा। वो क्लियर हो गया तो फिर 1570 पे रेजिस्टेंस है, देन इट्स ऑल टाइम हाई। सो मतलब अभी भी कुछ बचा हो सकता है, तो लेट्स सी, मतलब we'll
Yeah.
understand from your presentation।
By the
Okay.
time when we assigned him this topic, utne mein, I think
हाँ हाँ,
where was it trading? It was trading
It was
probably 800-ish, you know?
900. नहीं,
900 रुपए पे था।
900
हाँ,
छू गया था तब तक.
हाँ। तुमने
Next,
खरीदा क्या प्रथम, या किसी को खरीदवाया क्या?
no, I don't trade yet.
हाँ हाँ,
So,
ओके।
would think of getting into it because ऐसे analysis करके दिख रहा है मुझे भी opportunities तो, but yeah.
Yeah.
चलो
Okay.
फिर let's start.
Yeah.
Just a second. Yeah.
I
Good
asked,
evening.
yeah, yeah. Please continue. Sorry.
It's okay. Good evening, everybody. Today we are having a presentation on Globus Spirits. So, without further ado, let's understand what the company is about and the overall gist about it. The first is that the company was incorporated back in 1993 and is mainly working in the spirits and the product segment related to the spirit segment as well. We would deep dive deeper into its all the products and the services that it caters to in the presentation later. The company is mainly operating in India, but also shows presence in Singapore and Hong Kong and exports to other few countries as well, although they are not contributed much to its overall revenue structure. The company traded at 85 to 1223 within the last month. The all-time high is wrong because it's a one-year high. So the next is the company mainly has five manufacturing plants in various states and two greenfield plants in work that they are planning in opening in Odisha and UP. They are an ISO OHSA certified. OHS is basically Occupational Health and Safety Systems certification. That is a good thing for a company to have. They are also in contracts in franchise bottling with United Spirits, Bacardi, as well as ABD. So a bit about their vision and mission. Their company wants to be a leading company in the alcohol industry and generate value for their shareholders and have finest distilleries, best in class products, and become best Indian employer in the sector. Although the dream is a bit far from their overall mission as of yet, the company is trying to identify future trends, leverage their presence to have opportunities of growth, as well as show corporate governance and overall responsibility towards society. A bit of a timeline about Globus Spirits. Just give me a second. Yeah. So the timeline basically starts from the time when the company got incorporated as Globus Agronomics Limited. However, the name later changed. Between 1994 and 1995, the company opened its first distillery in Simalkha, Haryana, and had a capacity of 14.4 million bulk liters. Later, in 19 between 1995 and 96, they also set up a plant in Rajasthan with the same amount of installed capacity of 14.4 million. And their first distillery also started to be completely dedicated towards raw material, like dedicated towards grain and then producing stuff out of that raw material. Between 1988 1999, the company started to commence bottling operations at Behraur and entered the Rajasthan value liquor. This is a very important segment for the company because they launched products like Hiranja and Ghumar. These products are like native Indian IML category, which is like one of the main drivers for the company till now, as they are like one of the strongest players in Rajasthan. Between further, the company started to have bottling operations in Samalkha and entered Haryana. over a period of time. Between 2005 to 2008, the company started CO2 capturing at their Behror plant. This is now one of their byproducts that they sell in both dry and liquid state. Further, the company had a tie-up with ABD. This is a bottling their key brands को bottle करने का idea, and they also entered Delhi market with value liquor. In 2009, the company had an IPO and got listed on BSE and NSE with the main aim to modernize their technology and expand capacities. And that is why they launched their IPO, or the reason that they gave for it. Later, the company also had expansions at Samalkha Bharar, which increased their overall capacity to up to 70 million bulk liters. And they also had a tie-up with Jagjit Industries and had bottling of their popular brands at their Samalkha plant. In between, further, the company also have merged with Associate Distilleries Limited (ADL), and that also increased their capacity to 84.4 million bulk liters. Further, they also launched their new brand called Nibu Value Spirits segment in Haryana. And by 2013, the company also increased their capacity at each of the plants from 35 to 56 million. And later, they also raised public equity from Franklin Templeton Emerging Markets Fund, and which was mainly for their two new distilleries that they were planning to set up in Bihar and West Bengal. The company also then started to sell AFS. AFS is animal feed supplement, which is very rich in protein and other uh, main critical aspects that animals are required. It is also a byproduct from their overall distilleries working. So, and they made it from rice, like the leftover rice from their overall stuff. And it was mainly developed in Rajasthan facility of their Rajasthan facilities. And later, the company started to started up the West Bengal and Bihar facilities by 2015-16, for which they raised money in 2013, and this increased their overall capacity to now 175 million liters per annum. 2017 was one of the most critical changes in the company's history because the Indian government launched a grain-based ethanol blending act, which allowed 20% mixing of ethanol in consumption liquor as well as petrols, which the company really monopolized on as they also sell ethanol. But there was also a setback in the same year. That was the closure of their Bihar facility due to the prohibition caused by the state government there. The government's bill was effective from like April 2016, but company closed it next year because there was like a lot of back and forth between Bihar government and the Patna High Court, which later got pushed to Supreme Court as well. So yeah, there was a bit of turbulence there, and company had a quite a substantial amount of capacity loss, but the plant was back up by 2018 when the overall verdict got overturned, and the sale of alcohol was still like the segment was still not allowed, but the distillery was allowed to be opened by the Supreme Court judgment because they were producing ethanol in the state. So further, there in 2017-18, they launched a new subsidiary called Unibev. Now, Unibev is one of the aspects that is green as well as red flag for the company. So a bit on highlight on that part. Unibev is basically operating in the IMFL segment. Now, those of us who don't know what IMFL and IML is, IMFL is Indian Manufacturer Foreign Liquor. This mainly operates in the rum and whiskey segment, like those brands that are not native Indian. IMIL are more like native Indian segments like the Hiranjha, Ghumar, etc. Stuff like that. These are Indian manufacturer, Indian liquor. The Unibev mainly operated in the IMFL segment E, and they launched two whiskey brands named Oakton and Governor's Reserve, and a brandy brand that was La Fère Napoleon. These are still like operating in select Indian states, and but the company was like quite a loss-making one. But later, the company in 2021 got merged with the Globus, and they also launched Terai. It is a craft gin, which is like quite substantially contributing to their overall consumer segment profitability. A bit highlight on that later, and they also have a lot of plant capacity increases since then, and we would cover that in the manufacturing segment. A quick understanding of what the entire industry is. The suppliers have a very low power in the industry. The Globus mainly gets its supplied products from Food Corporation of India, as well as the farmers that are currently operating in the like local state. But this is said to be like a lot of regulations and unionization is increasing that power. There is substitute. There is a high amount of substitutes as well as a lot of a god of variety that is available in the industry as per each and every preference of, as well as like what price segment you want to operate in. The threat of new entrants, there is a threat of new entrants because there are both unorganized players that can enter in the market as well as unorganized players like United Spirits that if they have the substantial capacity to do can enter the market as well. Although there is a bit of a licensing on that regard, but it's not that big enough an issue for them. Their buyer power is also high because they can easily switch. Overall, the competitive rivalry is very high in the industry. There are few industrial aspects that we need to understand before we dig very deep into the nitty gritties of Globus. Because the market is said to be very high, fast growing, because overall estimation of market size is 52.5 USD billion in 2020, as per a report, and that more than 100 million people will also join the drinking age within them, like by 2025. Statista report also stated that there was a rise in the financial year 23 by 4.97 and an expected rise of 5.03 on the overall alcohol consumption segment. There is also dry days and ban on sale of alcohol in states like Nagaland, Mizoram, Gujarat. And the dry days is basically national holidays as well as religious days on which the states do not allow the sale of alcohol to be done. So that also puts a limit on their consumer segment. Majority of the key industrial aspects are aimed at the consumer segment. That's why the company's manufacturing segment is predominantly more dominant. The other aspect is high sales GST and excise duty that they have to pay because of the sent products label. GST is mainly paid on their byproducts, and excise duty is paid on their alcohol segments. There is also CSR activities that they have to undertake. Even Globus has to pay a certain aspect of their overall profitability towards CSR activities as a sense of giving back to the society. But that's not that big of an issue because every other brand in the field has to do it. And we can see that the company is not that much cyclical in nature and is able to pass their overall margin changes and cost changes to the consumer. However, very sudden fluctuations are not accounted for in the entire graph. Now, the product range that Globus offers, I don't have exact images of it because it would get quite messy for that regard. But just a bit of an understanding. They have three main segments, mainly two consumer and manufacturing segments, but I have, as per my understanding, I have divided into three main segments. First is consumer segment, which caters to every single price category, from value plus, which has very IML brands like Ghumari, Ranjashahi, Global Special Series. These brands are mainly curated for specific states, like with their own culture and history to really appeal to the customers, and is also showing like dividends for the company. The premium segment is one which is not that much contributing to profitability. In their last con call, they said that the overall consumer segments, only 6%, which was around 20-25 crores, was contributed by the premium segment, which is quite low for a company that's selling at 2100 crores of revenue. So yeah, there's premium segment. The Terai Indian Rajan is contributing around 20% of their overall profitability from the consumer segment, and is like one of the most profitable segments in the consumer one. The company is also looking for incorporating more of the craft spirits due to the successful of India Drygen, and more on that later. The manufacturing segment is basically distillery products like ENA. Now, what ENA is, basically extra neutral alcohol. It is like made. It is a very neutral spirit, which is colorless, odorless, tasteless, and is used as a blank canvas on which various other solvents like vodka, gin, whiskeys are made. And it is also used in beauty products as well as solvents for medicines. But for that, they have to go through uh, another process which would be covered here, like bioethanol. It is also a way to use ethanol, but is made. It is specifically made so that it's unconsumable. Secondly, it's made from wheat and corn grains, and is generally used for like after going through a molecule dehydration process, used as a fuel like petrol, but is like although it's quite renewable in nature, it's not that efficient. Then there is special natured spirits. These are also a way to turn the extra neutral alcohol around and to make an ethanol out of it that is used specifically for cosmetics or pharmaceutical products. There is technical alcohol, which is made usually used for like as a fuel in gases or stoves, but again a bit questionable on the uh, overall efficiency. Fusel fuel is another like byproduct that has come out of the fermentation stage and is used as solvent in the paint industries. So companies are basically trying to do a overall backward and forward integration. So each and every raw material or aspect that they are unable to like aim towards their main consumer segment, they are trying to sell it and like overall boost their profitability. It might sound quite like clever, but every single company in the industry does that. That's integrated, so not much on that regard. Hand sanitizers were launched due to the COVID-19. Not much contribution. Carbon dioxide was is also sold by the company in both dry and liquid form. And there is Globus Spirits, which is the AFS that I talked about earlier. Now, a bit about AFS is that it's an animal feed supplement which is very high on protein and has a lot of energy combinations that is very used by various animals and is like mainly done to like beef them up and so that they can be sold at a higher weight price. Now, the franchise bottling segment is quite an interesting one. The company has a franchise bottling contracts that I found with three major brands. First was ABD India, aimed at state of Rajasthan, United Spirits in Haryana and West Bengal, and Bacardi in West Bengal. These are the places that they manufacture it. They are also sold pan India. However, the brands that they sell are not the entire brand portfolio of these brands, but very selected brands. A few of which could be like the McDowell's and like other brands that are not that much big. On the Bacardi segment, they mainly focus on the dark rum segment. Now, a bit understanding of what difference between all these whiskey, vodka, etc. is so basically on the grounds of the alcohol content in them. So that's not like not something of that much higher, but from understanding point of view, it's important to understand that they all different in the alcohol content and taste and preferences of the consumer. Now, the main clients and suppliers.
Pratham?
Pratham, one
Shall I-
question.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gaurav, shall I go first?
Yeah, yeah, please.
Yeah, do you have a split anywhere in the presentation between these segments, revenue split?
I have a split, I guess, ahead in the consumer and manufacturing segment, but the entire split is not provided by the company, like each and every product and segment.
That's okay, that's okay. But overall, consumer and manufacturing and bottling, do you have that split?
Not entirely sure in what slide it is, but what
It
I
is there.
recall, what I recall is that their split is around uh, 60% from this manufacturing and 40% from this. It fluctuates in that regard. Is that key manufacturing segment got pushed back a little in the financial year 2022 report, but in the 23 Wale report, like the manufacturing segment was dominating. So yeah, if
Okay,
it would come aage, so I would just highlight
sure.
it. Just
And bottling will be included in manufacturing or what?
yeah, they have included bottling segments, but if you want the entire revenue, I don't have those figures, but I have the like number of cases that they sell in that regard, if that's of any interest.
Okay, no. So basically, what I want to understand is total अगर 2,100 crore revenue है या consolidated revenue is 1,300 maybe, तो उसमें मतलब कौन सा segment कितना करता है? If you don't have it, I'll capture it as a feedback. Try
Yeah,
to capture it. Yeah.
yeah, please capture it as a feedback because I would try to like look each and every segment. But when I looked there through the con calls of any presentation that they have, they provided just a manufacturing versus consumer. They didn't go into nitty-gritties of it.
Okay, fine.
So yeah, it was
Yeah.
a bit concerning for me as well because they had a lot of products, but concept segment is not that efficient, is not there. Yeah,
Cool. We'll tackle it later.
yeah.
But you
Um,
don't have it between this value and the I mean premium. No, this breakup is not available, or the company
the
doesn't say about it.
the companies what they said in their last con call was that the premium separate segment contributed to the 6% of their consumer segment. Now,
Okay, okay.
in
Hmm.
the entire big scheme of things, how much that percentage is, I don't have the exact number, but if you, if as per my understanding, Terai segment is the most profitable one in the entire consumer. Value Plus is contributing most to the revenue, and Premium is just an underdog, which the Unibev segment was operating in. I would highlight the Unibev because this segment is very like difficult to as per the company crack into, and yeah, it would be covered in the antithesis segment. So
Yeah,
a bit
because
more on that.
for the craft spirit, right? I would have expected more of these whiskey and scotch and all of those things, because I don't know anybody. Uh, I mean, drinking gin, very expensive gin. I'm not sure. Nirvan, do you know anybody drinking expensive gin?
Gin generally, I think women drink it. I'm not sure, but it's not
Hmm.
one of the most popular ones as
Not
well.
one of the most popular
Yeah.
one. Yeah,
So yeah, that's why the company is like very vocal on this premium spirits segment, that they would be able to have a goal of 20 or 30% of their overall consumer segment revenue from premium. But over the last four con calls that I studied, they've had like 3 to 4. Then now the latest is a 6% figure. So they are vocal on this regard that they would be able to turn it around, but not that, like, the results don't match their words basically.
got it. Okay, yeah,
So yeah. A bit on the client base, they are mainly consumer segment is basically to retailers and wholesalers in Rajasthan, Delhi, West Bengal. I would cover each and every one of these states and what segments are sold there later. The manufacturing segments, ethanol, EN, and other byproducts are mainly sold to the main sellers like HPCL, BPCL, and IOCL. These are all like Indian Oil, Bharat Petroleum, etc. The major brands they also buy ENA from them is Pernod, Bacardi, and Beam. Now that should highlight the more on the aspect that why ENA is their most selling and the manufacturing segment is dominant because of these large players buying from the company. Then there is also franchise bottling, and AFS is sold mainly to farmers or herders or other small unions. The key supplier is broken rice, leftover corn, and wheat. Now, and the main supplier, that the biggest supplier you could say in the terms of size, is Food Corporation of India. There has been a bit of uh, like debate that Food Corporation of India is very corrupted in that regard, that they sell them leftover products at dirt cheap prices. For a company's perspective, it is like great, but yeah, there is a bit of controversy there as well. Just thought of highlighting that. Quick forensic checklist. They have a total score of 18 to 23 and a percentage of 78.3, which is okay. Now, there are few where I have scored one, but yet still mentioned them, and I would highlight those as well. First is promoter ownership is 51% from the overall standpoint. That's why it scored one. The promoter skin in the game is a bit of a controversial topic that I would also appreciate your like insights on. First is that Ajay is a major single shareholder at around 6% of the company. Now, that might not sound like a great percentage for a 35 crore market cap company, but there are the main holder is Chandbhag Investments, which holds 38 to 39% of the company. When I looked deep into the Chandbhag Investments directors, they were all Swarups, and Ajay Kumar Swarup was a director, his son Shekhar Swarup, and his wife Madhvi Swarup. So, and when I also looked into Globus Spirits and Shekhar Swarup's overall stake, the entire stake, like the Swarup family mainly held 51% of the stake. So effectively, his majority holding is like 45% approximately is held into uh, like Globus, but I wasn't entirely sure if it contributed to the its overall net worth. So if anyone would like to like have some thoughts on it, I would appreciate that. Yeah. So moving forward, if company pays rent, yeah, they pay 25 crore, 2.5 crores rent, and that's why it has a zero score. The company does not buy or sell anything to their like promoters or anyone in the related party, but there was a 30 lakhs maintenance charge that they paid to a related party. So that's why it has a score of one. Uh, it should have a score of zero, sorry. But like it was a bit of controversial because there was no purchase and sale. So the next thing is the total part of contingent liability. Now, Nirvana sir asked me to like look deep into the contingent liabilities. So when I looked into the financial year 2022 report, it was 10.75% of their total like net worth. But when I look into if I assume that they have the same liability, it's like 9.74. But I have mentioned zero score for that. A bit more highlight on the contingent liability part is that they have like excise duty, sales tax, GST tax, service tax, income tax, and such cases going on as far as for like financial year 95, 96. There are also cases that are like very recent to like 2018, 19. So yeah, the company overall puts all the money that they have in the like amount due in their contingent liability that may be tied to these cases, and the verdict for these cases is not yet available. So yeah. The percent of their overall revenue compared to the other expenses was 15.44%. A bit more highlight in that later. And when compared with the other companies, it was like significantly higher. The main reason for other expenses, what I found was the fluctuations in the like overall petrol and raw material side of the like fuel side of the. But I would provide a more insight on that later.
Pratham,
Now,
do you, sorry, on other expenses, you have a slide later?
I don't think so. I have an entire slide on it, but I have
Okay.
a bit insight on the ending part. So please mention that as well on the feedback form.
Okay.
I would give
Because,
you a very deep while I spare.
sure.
Uh,
Because you are saying that for United Spirits and Radico, it is around 5%, 6%, and for this company, it's 15%.
yeah.
Okay. And one more suggestion to you, as a peer, please consider smaller alcohol companies as well. So I don't know if you're aware, but there's a company called Som Distilleries, which is also listed, which may be a better comparison in terms of size.
Oh, okay. There is a
Radico Radico का market cap क्या है? मैं एक बार देखता हूँ.
it's
Radico is
more
much
than
bigger
Globus.
than. हाँ,
United
आज
Spirits
बोला.
is way bigger, and
हाँ,
Radico is also bigger, but Tilaknagar Industries was lower than like Globus.
ठीक है.
Uh,
तिलक नगर क्या industry बोला तुमने?
Tilaknagar, it's mentioned in the आगे वाली slide in the peer comparison.
ठीक है,
I would,
got it,
yeah.
got it. ठीक है, continue.
The company plants, there is a Rajasthan facility, overall 15.4 million liters, operates almost everything. It's like the one of the main facilities. There is West Bengal and Haryana operating at 81 and 46. Now you would see the, sorry, scale up. That's because the company plans to have expansion, and it would be third expansion in the West Bengal segment. I would cover that in the next slide in the capex segment. They are also operating in mainly every other aspect. These are the facilities. Now the Bihar facility would be like significantly lower than like the 4750 figures. That's because of the ban that the distillery was closed and had a very much loss of capacity. And it's also just operating in ethanol and AFSE because of the like regulations by the Bihar government. And Jharkhand facility is relatively new, so yeah, it doesn't have a very much like very high, but have a decent amount of it. So now the manufacturing segment, if we look at it at the overall numbers of it, now you would see that the company had a negative effect on capacity in Q3 2022, which was mainly reported due to the Bihar plant that also got shut down due to floods, and the Haryana plant also got shut down due to the government issues, but they all recovered. The loss of capacity in terms of percentage would be covered. Easy slide me. The financial year 23 ended with an overall capacity of 765 KLPD. Now KLPD is kiloliters produced per day, and 335 of is ENA, and because ENA is like their main manufacturing segment and would be like around 175 of it also fungible to ENA. On average, the Globus on their con calls mentioned that it took some 2 to 3 years to break even at a plant, which is critical as you would see in the table I have shown below. That these plants, although information is a little bit outdated, the main plants like Orissa and Uttar Pradesh are in under construction. The They show that there is approval in process, but as per the latest like news about the company, the approvals have already been done, and the companies would begin the construction within this year. So yeah, that would be critical in terms of overall turnovers. And you would see that West Bengal 2 and 3 is basically the number of expansion plans that company has had, and these all are expected to be completed by this point. So there is also greenfield plants in Odisha and UP, and the Odisha plant is around 25% complete, and the UP plant has gained all the required accesses. The capex that the company plans to do in the year was around 160 crores. 120 crores would be funded through debt, and the rest through internal sources. The company also plans to spend like 20-25 crore in distribution of IMFL. Now, this is the segment that the premium one that I was talking about before. The 20-25 crores is the main aim for this amount was by the company's guidance was that they were spend it on like marketing wale aspect to have more recognition and sales growth. So yeah, that's the purpose of this number. Overall utilization was around 22% in 83% in 2022, 90% 23. The overall utilization in 23 was operating at a higher number, but in the last quarter the company had to face some like uh, what is that maintenance breaks for a couple of weeks in the West Bengal and Jharkhand plant, and afterwards they underwent maintenance as well, so the efficiency went down. And they say they would aim at 95% in overall efficiency, although it's not a number I have seen so far in their overall capacity. In individual plants, that this has happened before. The company has 173 capex crores capex in FY 2022 and would operate with debt financing over the next few years as well. And as per the con calls and their overall guidance that they gave in the previous con calls, and when the next con call was ready, they were more or less having their word on the like that aspect. Now, sorry, I missed a point in that. The company at the one point is that not mentioned here is that the company is in like line with their overall plans, and around 82 crores of capex was in the like last financial year was done for the Jharkhand plant that was like completed in financial year like this financial year. And like the company is as per the con calls was a bit on a delay. I like misspoke on that regard. A bit of a delay was for the Bihar plant. The other two plants are complete in their overall capacity.
So basically, Pratham, if I see the total capacity after completion, I just added it. It's around 1000 KLPD, and you are saying this 400 is getting added, right? So
By yeah, this would be like added. So they are like on a very rapidly increasing their like
yeah,
capacities. So either they think their future is like really optimistic, or it's a foolish move to just increase the capacity and increase their overall supply when there is no demand. A bit on the gamble on that part, but in my personal experience, the alcohol industry is always at a demand. So if they
yeah.
increase it and they aim for the manufacturing segment compared to the consumer segment, this is a good move from their regard, from that regards. So yeah.
Okay.
So
And
yeah,
yeah, Gaurav, go
Nirmal,
ahead. No, no, go ahead.
please ask.
So I was asking, do we also know this capacity expansion is in which segment, where, which plant is for what, like which is manufacturing expansion and which is consumer expansion?
The like if you want for that, like I don't have the exact differentiation, but if we just look at this part, like the Bihar plant at 210. So if you look at the Bihar plant, it's producing basically ethanol and AFS. So that's
Okay,
entirely towards manufacturing. And if we
manufacturing.
look at Jharkhand and okay, we are at Jharkhand, it's also for ENA, so that's also manufacturing.
Okay.
We could have a really good estimate from this, but exact numbers would not be like
No,
possible.
got it. But so just go back to that expansion slide.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one. So here there is something called West Bengal 2, 3. So do they talk about in their presentations like what does 2 exactly manufacture? What does 3
Uh,
manufacture?
the that's like in my जो मुझे समझ आया था the West Bengal plant had a expansions. So like West Bengal plant was made, that was West Bengal 1, 2 is the second expansion plan, 3 is the third expansion plan. So the second had a 140 KLPD expansion, and third had a 160 KLPD expansion. So
Got it.
that's like the
And
number of expansions that they have done at this facility.
right. Okay, so I'm capturing one point for you to do further research is this capacity addition of 400 KLPD. If we can find out, I'm sure they would have talked about it somewhere, Pratham, कि कितना मैन्युफैक्चरिंग में हो रहा है और कितना कंज्यूमर में हो रहा है, ठीक है?
Yeah, I would just do the con call वाली पूरी चीज
Yeah,
दोबारा on these numbers. But if I'm unable to like get anything, I would try to give you a graph on like basis of the what products are generated there.
yeah, sure.
Yeah. Gaurav sir, you had a point.
No, my question is, so currently, to understand it clearly, right now the company is operating with 380 uh, kiloliter capacity, right? This total capacity after completion. This one, that's KLPD, right?
Yeah, if you
Kiloliter per. What was the
Per day,
per
kiloliter
day?
KLPD
per
is per
day.
day.
Okay, so right now they have 380 kiloliter per day, and they expect it to kind of go till almost 1000 in the next.
No, no, this is
This is just
addition, Gaurav. So this
Hmm,
is just addition, and the right
hmm,
side, the total is the full capacity. So if you add the second column, total
hmm,
capacity after completion, that comes to 1000. So
1000
then
exactly.
their total capacity now is 1000. The new capacity that they have already added or planning to add is 420. So earlier capacity was 580.
Uh,
uh, this does
I'm
not
getting
include
confused.
yeah, this does not include all the plants. There are also plants in Jharkhand, West Bengal, Haryana. उनका यहाँ पे like उनका numbers
Okay,
दिए हैं यहाँ पे. So what I would do is like add the seven like financial 23 ending value amount with the 60 60 and 19.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that
We need to be exactly clear, Pratham, on what was the capacity in FY22 and how is it looking at the end of FY23 और Q1 FY24. ठीक है, मतलब पूरा कैपेक्स जब कंप्लीट हो जाएगा तो पहले के कैपेक्स के पहले क्या कैपेसिटी था और कैपेक्स के बाद क्या कैपेसिटी है, एंड इफ पॉसिबल अ ब्रेकअप बिटवीन मैन्युफैक्चरिंग एंड कंज्यूमर इन दिस.
There's
so
a slide for this, slide number 13 of their presentation, very beautifully done.
Oh,
Maybe
okay.
in million liter it's there. But Pratham,
Great.
yeah, you please add this one. This gives a bit of clarity because from here, what I feel is this company is adding a lot of capacity and there's a lot of capacity coming in, right? But पीछे की तरफ भी there might be some capacity already existing. I think almost इनके quarter 4 FY23 में इनके capacity almost 66.9 million liters का था.
yeah, the
So,
issue with
hmm.
those numbers was that, like, when I compared those million liters wali cheese, they had a lot of unit differentiations, and they also never like clearly they were giving rough numbers kind. But I would
Okay.
give that in the KLPD wala because KLPD was the standardization that I found most relevant for like
ठीक है.
So
understanding.
basically, Pratham, KLPD to million liter is a simple conversion. KLPD is basically 1,000 liters per day. So suppose in a
Yeah.
quarter you have 90 days and your capacity is 1,000 kiloliter per day. So 1,000 into 90. So 90,000 KLPD, 90,000 kiloliters is your quarterly capacity. So I mean, it's easy to sort of convert between the two. You can just multiply by the days in a quarter or a year and get the yearly capacity or the quarterly capacity.
Okay. Uh,
Okay, so I would like try to do that because like those numbers like were a lot of like even confusing me in that regard. That's why I have not mentioned them.
yeah,
But
bring those
yeah,
information together at some point and maybe we can all
yeah, I
discuss
could
and
just
clarify.
like try to create a
हाँ,
slide on the pura conversion of the numbers
ठीक
to
है.
the million liters and the numbers that they are giving and the numbers that we are expecting, ताकि you guys have a complete idea कि ये क्या करना चाह रहे हैं
Sure,
Yeah,
sure.
उसका.
so one of the basic things in analyzing any company is if there has been capex, we need to understand what was old capacity, what is new capacity across product segments. So that is the task you have to do.
So slide 7 of this year's I mean this quarter's presentation, they say that at the end of FY23 the total installed capacity was 765 KLPD,
Correct.
right? And then I see that this West Bengal 3, Jharkhand 2 and Bihar, this is going to bring about I think 610 KLPD. So their capacity is almost doubling, and then Odisha and Uttar Pradesh will sort of bring in 25 some extra additional capacity since the I mean, extra 400 capacity
I guess
KLPD.
you're mixing the numbers up a bit because they can double it. That's the numbers that 300, 200, are the overall numbers.
Hmm, hmm.
Like if you just see in मेरी presentation ही, this number is 240. If you add 60, then they are getting a 300.
Ah, okay,
So
okay, 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 okay.
they are
That
not
way, that
adding
way.
600. They are adding 120 and this like
Ah,
140
it's
something.
not too much then.
Yeah. So like
अच्छा,
doubling
got it,
capacity
got
तो
it.
would be almost impossible in few quarters.
Yeah,
So
कि बहुत confusing करके रखा है this table.
like yeah, there's like addition and like दिखा था. So I guess I didn't really capture you that part actually.
No
But
problem,
yeah,
no problem. Got it, got it. Yeah, this is why we have this discussion. Cool.
yeah.
Yeah, please continue. If Nirvan, you have any question or
No, no, I
others?
don't. I don't.
Okay.
Okay. So that's the overall capacity. Now, brief about the key personnel. Ajay Kumar Swara, Managing Director, MBA from IIM Calcutta, has been the part of the company since inception and is the MD of the company, highly experienced in the field of operations as well as indirectly the majority shareholder. I will provide a bit insight on that in the promoter holding aspect. Paramjeet Singh Gill is the CEO of Consumer Division, has 30 years of experience in the field, was also the CEO of Allied Breweries a few years prior to Globus, Master in Philosophy and got FMCG background. Now, this guy is the main suspect of my entire key personnel wala aspect. He's the executive director and COO. Now CEO is like the chief operating person, and but he's a chartered accountant since 1987. Was past CEO at the time of IPO. Is PhD in commerce, but is handling value segments in Haryana and West Bengal. But and is also like the managing like overall eastern units of the company. Now, what I don't understand why. He's the CEO. Executive director is fine, but why he's the CEO and not the CFO? Because he clearly has a commerce background. Shortly followed by that is the current CEO, CFO, who is not from a very reputed colleges or any like big names, but has an experience in like internal audit, financial planning, and all that entire finance policies, and has worked in diverse industries. They don't specify which diverse industries that, and has been working in various part of the countries. I don't question. I'm not like really questioning his qualifications, but I'm really questioning why he is not the CEO. So a bit of a difficult thing for me to grab. The chairman of the board is Vivek Gupta. He's like 20 years of experience in the C-level roles, graduate from Doon School, BCom honors, and is also the joint managing director of Delton Cables. So clearly a person who has an experience in the overall industry as well as past experience in the companies that were similar industry only. Now the compliance officer seemed to be a guy who has worked in
Guys, are you there?
Yeah, I got disconnected for a second, actually.
Yeah. So Pratham, I can't hear his voice actually.
Oh, okay.
Pratham, are you there?
I,
Pratham also got disconnected.
I think he got disconnected. I think all of us got disconnected for a second, I guess,
This
no?
is very weird. How can all of us get disconnected simultaneously? All our internet connections
No,
went.
no, this was from Google server. No.
This was a server issue. Yeah.
Yeah, these guys are, I mean, really flopping it up. I mean, Google is deteriorating its services. I've seen that quite a lot,
Yeah.
especially their maps.
Maps में क्या problem आया तो?
आए उल्टा सीधा जगह पे लेके जाता है सीधा रास्ता है इट विल टेक मी थ्रू अ विलेज
I see.
nonsense. They should hire better engineers. Anyways, we'll wait for a few minutes. If Pratham is not here, then probably we can move out and we can have the follow-up discussion tomorrow or day after. One thing, Nirvan, then, I mean, overall, with respect to this company, I personally do not feel there's much exciting thing over here. No, what would be your take? I mean, it's not cheap. There's no, I mean, there's no trigger. I mean, like capacity trigger and all. There could be some trigger from,
Capacity trigger is there, no? Obviously,
I mean,
Gaurav.
tiny. This
Not
UP
tiny.
wala.
Not tiny. So if you check their uh, fixed assets, it has increased quite a lot in the last 2 years. So from 580 crores, they've gone up to 826 crores in terms of fixed assets.
Acha. Okay,
But
okay.
maybe they have already sweated that asset because the revenue has also 42% increase in fixed assets, but the revenues have also increased by 42%. So that's a good sign. Revenues have increased by 70% during the same period. So it means that whatever capex they put up, I mean, this is just a very high level, maybe wrong, but they immediately were able to sort of utilize it. So that can also be good news that this new capacity that is coming up might get utilized fast. So
Okay. Yeah, makes sense.
any kind of ethanol capacity coming online, companies are getting valued for it because this entire 20% ethanol thing. Coastal Corporation has an ethanol story. There is a company called BCL Industries, which I just read about, that has an ethanol story. So these ethanol stories are getting valuations. So not too quick to dismiss it, I think.
Okay, got it.
Again, see 30p if their brands are strong, right?
Hmm.
We are not the target segment, but in their target segment, if their brands are strong, then and if the new capex, a large part of new capex is going into more consumer business, 30p may be fair value. I mean, I don't know, right?
See, what I understand is ethanol is like the feedstock. It's the input material. So they can,
Yeah.
I mean, when the demand is high, they can always reroute it towards the consumer segment. When the demand is low, they can take it to all other segments. No.
Yeah, that's true. But after ethanol, you have to do a lot of processing on it to make it,
Hmm.
edible
Alcohol.
alcohol. No,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I think some. I mean, it's like a forward integration on pure ethanol. I think I am not sure. So you're saying the capacities will be fungible.
Yes, yes.
Hmm. Yeah. So that
And
those are things we need to understand.
on
Yeah.
top
Sorry.
of that, they are making only gin and all. So not much. I mean, I have a very bad
No, but
perspective
Gaurav,
on gin.
you and me are not the target audience for this. So Gin, I agree. Gin probably is meant to target people like us, but
Hmm,
it's not a very big segment. But
hmm, hmm.
their local brands, their Heer Ranjha and all those things,
And all. Yeah.
that we can't comment. I mean, we have to depend
This is
on.
more like a country liquor. Maybe we can check this out.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know how popular it is.
This is local liquor, right? So
Ah,
whatever we drink is
ah.
bare minimum IMFA, Indian made
Yes,
foreign liquor, IMFL, right? We
yes,
have that
yes.
paying capacity. We never look at local brands.
Yeah.
But there are brands called Santra and Heer Ranjha and all these, which are very popular in the lower middle class or the the
Hmm,
poorer
hmm.
segment.
Yeah, yeah.
So Som Distilleries also sells local brands. I think. I don't think they have any brand that we know about.
Got it. Yes.
So that is I think a wrong lens to check them with, because these companies can't be compared with the Pernod Ricards and the United Spirits. They are a different league.
Hmm.
These guys are catering to another segment of society. So
Understood.
I think, yeah, we need to understand that. What happened to Pratham?
I think power cut or something.
Let me
Wi-Fi.
ping him. Yeah, let me ping him. As this thing must be working, because I wanted to finish this if possible today, because everything is getting delayed.
FY21 would have been a great year to kind of
Yeah,
invest in their company. It
yeah,
also shows in their operating leverage.
yeah,
Very high.
exactly.
Nice. Okay. No problem.
Mm,
I think then let's at least stop recording.
recording, yeah.